All right, y'all know the drill. We had over 2,000 new cases with 10 deaths. In Oasis County, 10 new deaths. Oasis County, 25 new cases, no new deaths. Sorry, 6.7%. Since 26 has been the same. May 2nd, almost 1,600 people in ICU and almost 13,000 people hospitalized. Since the 3rd, following the same 73.2% and 61.5% of the population has been fully vaccinated and had at least one dose. As for the U.S., $577,220,000 and 66.7% of the population is fully vaccinated. Texas, highest one ever is in California. Fully vaccinated, 28.5 million, 72% of the population. Highest one is 76.9% of the population being fully vaccinated. So in total cases, 6.7 million and 46.7 million total doses have been given. Worldwide, total 576.9 million and 11.6 million worldwide. 60%, 66.7 in the US and 61.5. How about our schools? How about Flower Bluff? How's it doing? Well, it's been a pattern up and down with these cases in school. But they're doing a great job. And look, we're at 0. Which is good. Which is a good place to start. But there has not been any new news about what's been happening with COVID. So I guess mainly the issue here we have to deal with is the fact that nobody's getting vaccinated. I'll tell you right now, I am vaccinated twice, and I'm still waiting on the 3rd booster. And now children, every child, every 5-year-old is eligible to get that vaccine, and parents are concerned about the side effects. Listen, if you're concerned about the side effects, you have the internet to look up the side effects of each vaccine. And if you have problems, ask your doctor immediately and they'll tell you the side effects. And if you're still having second thoughts, then you need to take time to think and say, maybe we need more time. If you ask all parents, they'll tell you they got their child vaccinated. It's very important we bring every single number back up because we need to go back to normal. And the whole reason why these cases are rising is because no one is taking this very seriously. Listen, I take this very seriously. You see me with a mask in my back pocket or in my left pocket or with hand sanitizers, you know that I take this very seriously. Very seriously. And if we have to go back to square one, then that's what needs to happen. Let's not do that. The patterns of this. The whole case, the reason why this is happening is because because no one cares. They'd rather freaking go back to normal here. Their own way. That's not the way. If you're immune to COVID, you're immune to sickness, then okay. Vaccines are very important. We use them to fight. We use them to fight diseases and fight disorders. And now what really needs to happen is if we don't do this, then we're going to end up going back to square one within 2 days. We can't do that. In the meantime, what you guys need to do is to understand, every time I give you these tips, you're not taking them very seriously. You need to start taking these very seriously. Masks, social distance, hand washing, sanitizing the hands, disinfecting your area with disinfectant wipe. If you're running transportation, if you're in a mandatory zone, you gotta wear those masks and practice social distance. If you're in an auxiliary zone, then you're at the option to wear a mask. But take extra precautions. If you have COVID, you need to stay in your house within 5 days. After the 5th day, get tested again. If you're negative, you can go do whatever you want. If you're not negative, that's another 5 days. Also, if your child's under 2, no masks. If you have a medical condition, you're exempt, or let your doctor know, or let someone know beforehand. Also, while you're in quarantine, do not leave your quarantine area. Stay where you are. You don't have any leaves. You take out the trash, or go check the mail. Those are the only 2 things you're allowed to do. And the only 2 things you're allowed to do. That's what I've learned. So that's what I've learned. Well, coming up next, the excuses of truancy. Remember 5 years ago we focused on truancy, but we have not focused on the excuses for truancy, about why people are being truant. From the parents and from students. We'll be right back. Up front tonight, for over 5 years in the show, we focused on truancy. We focused on what you need to do as a parent. We focused on the issues happening, like drugs, alcohol, bullying, getting a girl pregnant. But we haven't focused in on the excuses. We also focused on truancy court. What you need to do. What we not have done is focus on excuses. So that's why during the break I had to write down the excuses I can remember. And these are in 2 categories: one for the parents, and one from the kids. Because these are unexcused absences. I mean, this part here, that's for when you go to court. And when they ask you, like, you can't get your child to bed, blah, 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 I tried everything. I've written down a few. I can't get my child to go to school. I can't get my child out of the car to go to school. I can't get my child out of bed. That just shows who's in charge here. For these 3 right here, for these 3, it's a parent problem. This is a child problem. When you see this in black and white, this is the child problem. This right here, that's a child problem. And for kids from the truant, I mean, these would be unexcused. Like, I skip school to play video games. I have to work to help support my family. My mom's car broke down. I skipped school. I refused to go to school. And then the other one I'm writing down right now. I skipped school for YouTube. And I don't want to go to class. These are the whole reasons. So let's break it down. So let's review them again in case you didn't know. For the parents, I can't get my child to go to school. I can't get my child out of the car to go to school. And I can't get my child out of bed. That's 3 excuses. For the parents out there, it's not a parent problem. That just shows who's in charge. And for the truant, for the students, I refuse to go to school. I skip school to play video games. I have to work just to support my family. My mom's car broke down. I skipped school for YouTube. And I don't want to go to class. That's a student problem, right? Those 6, that's a student problem. These are unexcused absences. I mean, there's a list. I mean, these examples: refusing to go to school, skipping school for the day for a class period, working at a job, and vacation/travel. And for 5 years, we've given you tips on what you can do, and so far no one else is taking these tips very seriously, and nobody's taking attendance. A lot of you guys may comment and say it's just a stupid law. Well, too bad. The law's the law. You have to go to school. whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, you can do homeschool, but homeschooling costs money. You gotta hire a tutor, online school, again, that costs money. Private school, that costs money. Public school is free because of our tax dollars. Taxpayer funding. But the key here is parent involvement. Parents, you need to listen, because these tips can one day help you, and an extra tip can really help you. Can really help you get your child back in class. For parents, you need to talk to your child about school and ask how you can help. You also need to assist your teenager who goes to school every day. Make sure your child understands that he has completed required homework. Uncompleted homework may prevent children from wanting to go to school. Discuss concerns with your child and teachers. Ask for referrals if necessary. Ask the school to contact you immediately if your child is absent without a valid excuse. And periodically check with your child's teachers to find out how things are going for your child. Get to know your child's friends and families, because a lot of times they skip class. Your child skips class to go to a friend's house. And if your child's missing from school, you ask yourself and your child these questions. 1. Has your child lost interest due to the inability to keep up with the pace of his class, or because he can do more advanced work? Is your child associated with students who are also truant? Is there a mental health problem or something? So again, you really need to ask you these questions. I mean, there are issues I do find with people that just don't like going to class. I mean, there are excuses like pretty much we don't want to go to class. I mean, remember the Denny's bus from back in 2010, like 2011, over 10 years ago? That was because the kids at Los Lunas decided to skip class. It's called a closed campus for a reason. There's a reason why it's called closed campus. The reason why that is basically because that's the whole reason why kids do that is because they want the free breakfast. Because they saw that Denny's ad and said, "Oh, let's go get some breakfast." Are you sure? We could get in trouble. And they'll say, "Nah, we won't get in trouble." Well, one person got arrested after Denny's turned them in. I mean, several states have like a lot of truancy laws. But there's one thing I'll never forget is when Springfield police picked up nearly 100 teens skipping school 8 years ago. Take a look.
To school today were escorted by Springfield police, ensuring they made it to class. Welcome to 22 News at 5. I'm Alicia Rodriguez. 22 News was the only station there when Springfield police officers and the Hampden County Sheriff's Department pulled into the High School of Science and Technology this morning to deliver the last of almost 100 students who had been skipping school. 22 News reporter Julie McDonald found out what led to this truancy raid and why 2 students were arrested.
Nancy Jones-Callens has been watching Springfield high schoolers cut class and hang around State Street for years.
They can walk in at 8:45 after they have indulged in marijuana in the park, and it has gone as far as students having sex on our church property. And some of them stay out all day and wait for their buses to take them home.
Police officers don't monitor truancy. It's the Hampden County Sheriff's Department and school attendance specialists who are in charge. The problem had gotten so out of hand in this neighborhood, though, that Springfield police officers stepped in to help. They met with the Sheriff's Department and the schools themselves to come up with a plan to collect the kids and bring them back to class. They literally drove around Springfield and rounded up close to 100 students on buses and in cruisers. 1 from Putnam Vocational Tech, 2 students from Springfield Central, and the rest from the High School of Science and Technology. Police arrested 2 students after finding brass knuckles and marijuana.
Bottom line, we're just trying to get these kids to go to school. That's the only thing that they have to do as teenagers, is to just go to school. There was a lot of them that were joking and laughing on the school bus. They thought the whole thing was a field trip.
Springfield Superintendent of Schools Daniel Warwick told 22 News in a statement, truancy has gone down from 5.4% in 2010 to 3.8% this year.
What we did today is just a Band-Aid for the problem. So if nothing is done to correct this 6 months from now, or not even 6 months from now, 6 weeks from now, we may be out here having to do the same thing again.
Julie McDonald, 22 News.
Well, if you see school-age students out of school during school hours, you can call the school district's truancy hotline. We have that number on our website, wwlp.com.
And it's a big issue going on because no one cares. That's why we have to get police involved. Throwing parents in jail, that's the one I'll never forget. Never forget when I first told you about a story about parents that just went to jail. That's one I'll never forget. More give me a break when we come back. Now for an update on a story we first brought you about a month ago. Last month, I told you about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock after Rock talked about Smith's wife. Well, just hours ago, Chris Rock joked about the Will Smith Oscar slap after Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage. According to BuzzFeed, the moment he famously and immediately coined the slap heard around the world and was discussed widely for weeks after it happened. The scrutiny, criticism, and a bunch of other opinions circulated, so did some jokes, and criticism was apparently amenable to them. Chris was also the festival performer, supposedly rushed on stage when Dave attacked before grabbing the microphone to address folks in the audience. Was that Will Smith? He joked. And it was only a matter of time when Chris started cracking jokes about the Oscar clap. Just glad everyone emerged from both on stage unharmed. Then Amy Schumer brought up the Will Smith Oscar slap at the Met Gala. What does she have to say? When Smith asked Schumer how's it been since the Oscars, and she's spoken to Chris Rock, the actor said, "Chris is good. He's such a badass, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of what Wanda, Skies, and Virginia Hall and I did that night." They're one of the co-hosts of this year's Oscars during the ceremony. Chris Rock, who was one of the presenters, made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head caused her alopecia. Will Smith reacted by going up to the stage and slapping Rock. Following the incident, host and Rock himself decided to make a light of the situation, but once the ceremony was over, she revealed how she really felt about Will Smith's actions. In the meantime, Smith has been banned, and again, this was also from Dave Chappelle, who was attacked. So again, he's now banned from the Oscars and all kind of motion pictures and signs for the next 10 years. He shared various apologies for his behavior during the Oscars. We'll keep you up to date as it goes along. Give Me a Break continues in just a moment. Our next story is about an epidemic of road rage. If you pull over to the side and you see road rage happening, you're bound to step in, right? No, you ought to be doing this with your cell phone, taking video, posting on YouTube, and saying, "Let's get a lot of money for views." But the question is, why is there an epidemic of violent road rage incidents? Take a look. Here's an Inside Edition investigation.
This week, we brought you an exclusive interview with a woman who was run over 3 times in what cops say was a case of road rage. But it's not an isolated case. Lisa Guerrero reports that throughout the pandemic, there has been an uptick of people losing it from behind the wheel.
Road rage during the pandemic is sweeping the nation. In Miami, cops say this driver opens fire after a road rage incident. In Washington state, this irate driver actually chucks an axe at another car. The alleged attackers have all pled not guilty.
But perhaps nowhere has the road rage problem gotten more out of control during the pandemic than here in Houston, Texas.
Angry drivers, lots of guns. An explosion in road rage shootings, reads this recent New York Times headline.
Yet another case of road rage.
Another possible road rage shooting.
Rania Mancarios is CEO of Crime Stoppers of Houston.
We've seen an overwhelming spike in road rage cases, especially over the last year.
Over here is where it happened.
Paul Castro and his son David were returning from a day at the ballpark last summer when he says an enraged driver chased after them.
But David said, "Dad, he's still following us." I said, "It's going to be okay, son." And it wasn't okay.
Surveillance video shows a white car following Castro's pickup truck.
I heard this explosion, and there was the simultaneous sound of a gunshot and broken glass. In the movies, the first shot misses, you know. He didn't miss. He hit my son.
David, a musically talented honor student with a bright future, died.
David was one of the nicest kids you could ever meet. 30 seconds of bad decision making by that person ended David's life and has destroyed the lives of his mom. And I'm suffering in public right now so that other people don't.
This man was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He's pled not guilty and denies shooting Castro's son.
I think people are just...
So who was the shooter? We'll never know.
In the past, person was angry and flipped people off, give them the bird, you know, and now someone gets mad at you, it's possible that they might shoot at you.
Today, Castro says he is incensed that his son's alleged killer is out on bail while awaiting trial.
I was so enraged. I mean, to know that the man who killed my son was being released. It's time to take action. It's time to take our cities back.
The statistics are shocking. Police say that someone is shot and either injured or killed every 17 hours in a road rage incident.
Frank Grant's 9-year-old daughter, Ashante, was shot in another Houston road rage incident just 3 months ago.
What did you think when you heard the gunshots?
It was shocking. You don't think, it can happen to you until it happens to you.
She survived, but he says his little princess is going to have to learn to walk and talk again.
Senseless. She just didn't deserve that.
Her shooter remains at large.
You never know what the person in the other car is going through or what they're capable of.
The Houston Police Department's Traffic Enforcement Unit recently took us out on a special detail targeting aggressive drivers.
Our goal is to keep the roadways safe. Primarily in the busiest times of day, we try to put officers and supervisors out there. People are on their way home. They've had long days. Nobody likes to sit in rush hour traffic. That's when tempers seem to be the highest, so we try to be most visible during those times in order to help reduce the amounts of road rage or aggressive driving.
Now, more and more people are apt to reach for a gun. How big of a problem is that?
That's a big problem. And if they're pulling out a gun and, taking it into their own hands, then it makes a bad situation even worse.
They cited this Corvette for reckless driving, something police say can often spark a road rage incident.
What advice would you give a driver that sees somebody else driving aggressively near them?
So if you see those kind of behaviors, if somebody driving aggressively or engaging in road rage, call 911. So instead of making a bad situation worse, de-escalate it.
Paul Castro still can't believe he lost his son in such a senseless act.
You have to assume that the other person might be armed. I didn't honk. I didn't flip the guy off. My son paid with his life. Let it go.
Cops say if you encounter an irate driver, don't reciprocate, don't make eye contact, just keep driving until you reach a police station.
Exactly. So what are the ways can you avoid the traffic stops? We'll tell you when we return. So far, I've looked at an Inside Edition investigation from Mr. Guerrero about road rage. So what are the ways that you can avoid road rage? Don't rush. Cool off. If you're upset, take time to calm down. If you're driving, give other drivers a break. Use hand gestures wisely. Don't give them the bird or pull out a gun and go, you come in, bam, 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 bam. Don't tailgate, lay off the horn. If you're really angry about it, don't just go, you cut me off, that's it. stop to confront the driver. Stay away. Don't stop. And always watch your back. In the case of what happened there, he had a gun and he's like, and all of a sudden, glass explosion, boom, he's dead. He's out on bail and waiting trial, and we'll give you an update as this progresses. Stop including person-to-person confrontation. And there are lots of road rage. If you look on YouTube, if you search on YouTube, those road rage videos, look at road rage caught on camera, you'll see what happened 2 weeks ago. Watch.
Road rage nightmare unlike any you've ever seen. The driver of this SUV was recorded running down a fleeing woman twice. The horror unfolded on a suburban street in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Prosecutors say the driver of the gray SUV got in a fender bender with another car. You could see the woman driver taking photos of the SUV, apparently for evidence. Suddenly, the SUV reverses, going right at her. She runs into a driveway to get out of the way, but it's not over. The vehicle heads right for her. She flees across a lawn, but this time she can't run fast enough. What follows next is too disturbing to show. Prosecutors say the suspect hit her and then deliberately ran her over a second time. You can still see the evidence of that violent attack. Look at this, tire tracks on the lawn right here. They continue to this yard over here. You can even see where the driver backed up to run over the victim again. The suspect, identified by police as Vincent Jean, has been charged with attempted murder.
I don't even understand why he would even be so upset just because she was taking pictures.
Another neighbor's home surveillance camera caught the incident.
So he hit her here,
dragged her a little bit, then he tried to run away. She tried to get up, he hit her up again, he hit her again.
The 23-year-old victim was critically injured. Her parents said in a statement, "What this man did to our daughter was atrocious. This man was a complete stranger who committed a heinous act of road rage."
So if you get spotted by road rage, just calm down. Don't give out. So let's review before we leave here. If you're in road rage, don't give out awful hand gestures. Pull out a gun, go bam, 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 bam. And don't just run over, because she did the right thing, took a picture of the license plate, and just like, and then this person was like, you took a picture of my license plate? And then all of a sudden, bam, she got hit. And that was the price to pay. I mean, she did the right thing, but it ended in an attempted murder, so I'm glad what happened is right. But it's not going to help with all these road rage. There are the signs that you can spot, like speeding or racing other drivers, running stop sign traffic signals, turning out the front of other vehicles, cutting off cars, tailgating or following too close behind other vehicles, excessive honking or yelling out scenes to other drivers. I mean, that's the fact. I mean, there are statistics and facts about this, and tomorrow, since this is our anniversary week, this is another one I will never forget. The first time talking about road rage. That's another one of my memories, and that's one I'll never forget. So tomorrow, this continues to where we talk about the statistics of road rage and the facts behind it from bankrate.com. Because they have a lot of statistics and they can help you pinpoint what happened. But before we leave here, I can't leave here without another memory from our quinquennial week. Meaning our 5-year anniversary. All this week looking back at our favorite memories till the end of the week, which is gonna until Friday or Saturday, which is gonna be at my old school to report from. So I'll never forget to when I'll never forget when we first talked about dressing out. That's the one I'll never forget. Why dressing out is so important is because to help teach you guys, I mean, it's part of the PE dress code. Look at this. I mean, I'm wearing shorts, I'm wearing shirts, and then closed-toed shoes. No flip-flops, no pants, no boots, no jeans, none of that. No pajamas, no sweatpants. You do that, then you get participation right off. That's the whole thing. We're also going to talk about grades. We're also going to talk about grades this week, which is going to be on Thursday. So look for that. That's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Wednesday going to Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow for Give Me a Break Thursday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Thursday. For all of us here at YouTube and Give Me a Break, good night, everyone.